Well, we mentioned that stocks had their best week of the year, so let's take a look at some of the week's biggest winners. We do want to take a look at Apple and Nike and Chevron City, all big moves. We thought it'd be a perfect time to play a little, trade it or fade it.
It's a weird
favorite game.
Yeah.
Why is this weird?
Don't they shoot a graphic though when you say, don't we usually have the people trade it? Or no, we don't.
Well, now we don't need to do it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
You can do that though, Guy.
Okay,
you can do
fine.
it.
Let's do.
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Trade it or fade it. There you go. We did
a live
ourselves.
version of it. We started off with Apple. That was up 9% this week. Guy, trade it.
You're going to say, well, you're all bearish. How can you trade Apple? I say trade Apple. Why? Because if you look at where it traded down to on June 3rd, traded down to about 175, which is a 50% correction of the recent low on December 24th and the recent high that we've seen. It did it on big volume, and I think you're in a traded camp. So although I am definitely bearish on the broader market, I think Apple stands on itself. So I say trade it, Melissa Lee.
Well, for me, if good news is bad news and I want to trade it, which actually means fade it, I want to fade this one, primarily because you've had a 9% move in this. I view the next move in this market to be lower for a trade, so I want to fade the Apple.
Nice.
Nike, best week in a year, up 8%. Tim.
Yeah, I trade it. And I think this is a story where fundamentally, first of all, Nike's been one of those companies that's been able.
No, that's the. I think
that's
that
the wrong. They did the wrong graphic.
You have an enunciation.
Was I not clear?
No,
Did I
you were
stutter?
crystal clear.
Came out
crystal.
So Nike, again, I traded. This is a case where people thought that China was going to be an issue for these guys. If anything, they've been running very counter to that. They've been exploding. They've been showing innovation again. This is a stock that people have worried about the multiple. At these levels, that's where you're at. I don't think in this environment you want to get away from something that's been very defensive.
Valuation is a concern to me. June 27th, they report earnings, I think, at 28 times forward earnings. And I hear that what Tim is saying, but I'm more inclined to, Mel, say it.
Fade
it. Yeah.
So they should trade it now.
No, they did it right that time.
This is definitely a fade.
It's very confusing, this particular round. Let's start new with Chevron. Its best week in more than 3 years, up 7%. Steve.
So I am a fader of oil prices, so that means I'm a fader of Chevron at these levels. The XLE has done nothing for 5 years, and Chevron is one of the top two holdings of the XLE. Fade it. I'm staying consistent that way.
Tim.
Well, in the environment that if the Fed is suddenly as cautious as they are, that's actually going to put the brakes under the dollar's move. This is very good for oil. I think Brent prices are overdone. What happened to supply disruption? Chevron is the best and most efficiently run integrated oil company. If there's one I have, it's that one to trade.
All right. Citigroup, up 6% this week. Brian Kelly.
Well, not surprisingly here, I am going to fade Citigroup and all the banks. Those things traded horribly today. Even though we had an up 300, Citigroup closed on its lows. The yield curve flattened slightly, but we had a pretty big steepening. I think the rally's over here in these, so you fade them, which is really to trade them.
See,
can you not explain?
Well, I'm just trying to say, you fade it, but if I'm a trader, I want to trade out of it.
I mean, you're fading it.
Yeah, so I'm
under
fading
the rules
it.
of the game.
Right.
See, what doesn't make sense to me about the financials here is that people are concerned that the Fed may be stepping in, but if anything, they're steepening the yield curve at some point. And I actually think this is going to be good for the banks again. So Citibank, of all the cheapest money center banks out there, that's the one I can stand on valuation. I trade it.
Bonus round time.
Love bonuses.
Campbell Soup having its best week in, get this, 3 decades. Guy.
Sold the guy. Sold the guy.
Best week in 3. No, I think
I'm selling that to you, Guy. That's on the new game.
You're 3 years, but I think you take what you got in this thing, you take your soup, you put your saltines in, you take some money off the table, and you absolutely fade this sucker. I mean, you've been given a gift after 3 or 4 years of a downswing. Fade, fade, fade. Triple fade.
That is an amazing move in Campbell Soup.
It is a
amazing
ridiculous
move, but you can't buy that. You got to be a fader of that move. That's a spike. That's a flagpole right there.